These stories in today's video are meant to be true. It is up to you if you choose to believe them. Thank you for choosing this video to watch. I very much appreciate it. I don't really know where to post this story. I wouldn't say this is about religion, but about the scary parts of it. When I started high school, I was introduced to boys for the first time. I had never really been interested in any of that before. My family and I had planned a vacation for a really long time, but it got cancelled sometimes because of the pandemic. So in the autumn break we finally could have that vacation. In the hotel I saw a guy that I recognized from school. I remember that he had been hitting on my friend, and I thought it would be fun to tell her that I was on the same hotel as him. She thought it was hilarious and gave me his Snapchat. I texted him and told him we were on the same hotel, and he said that he recognized me from school. We didn't know each other at all, just had passed by each other in school. So one night we met up by the pool and spoke. It was kinda awkward cause I didn't know him and he was some years older than I. He invited me to him and his friend's hotel room. I hung out with him and his friend. I felt that it was something between me and his friend. And it led to a vacation fling. I don't want to go into details about stuff, but what I can say is that he was my first kiss. After that I became obsessed with him. He was all I wanted. When I came home I did everything to make him mine. But clearly he didn't want me, but I couldn't take it. I had heard about the law of attraction before and I wanted to give it a try to make him mine. I was doing affirmations and witchcraft. Nothing really worked. So instead I tried to write affirmation to find a guy that was similar to him. And actually right after that a guy added me on Snapchat. For a long time he tried to get my attention, but because of the other guy, I didn't really care. For maybe 3 months he tried to get my attention, and I finally started to talk with him seriously. And he was all I ever wanted. The both of us fell hard for each other even though we never even met. I was so sure he was the love of my life. But the love brought me so much pain. After some months of online dating he told me he was a Satanist. Him and his friends were practicing it. I don't know what they did because he never wanted to tell me about it. A month after that I couldn't take the pain from it and I blocked him. I was scared that he would go psycho because he was that person that could get violent if things didn't go his way. But to my luck nothing happened. One day I was cleaning my room and found my affirmation book. I thought it would be fun to read what I tried to attract. But what I read scared me. I had in detail written all the qualities and it described him. When I read it I realized what I had been doing. I realized that the law of attraction was satanic, and that I had been attracting someone that worshipped it. The law of attraction was nothing more than something satanic. I came to the conclusion that God was the only way out because I had never been that scared in my whole entire life. I was dedicated to God and I finally found peace, or that's what I thought though. 5 months after I had blocked him I started to having weird dreams about him. In total I had 3. And my also friends started asking about him. Everything were just so weird. But because of that I started to miss him. But I thought it was all in my head. After 3 days after the 3rd dream I had about him was at the mall. Me and a friend were going shopping. When we walked around a guy's passed by. I recognized the face but I couldn't tell who he was. We got eye contact and I knew it was him. He gave me a friendly smile and then I ran away. My body clearly told me it wasn't good. So in that moment me and my friend went home. I was 110% sure he would reach out to me, and he did. Even though I was scared I replied to him, and I was back with him. OFC it brought me pain, but the feeling of what we had made me stay. Because how bad it was I stopped going to school. My whole body was hurting when stuff didn't go right. I knew it wasn't good for me but I was attached. I had just started to make some new friends. One of them thought it would be good if I would see someone in real life to get out of the hell he had caused. And it was. That person made me realize that life wasn't supposed to be that way. After all that I needed to get help. I sought professional help for my mental health and it have been improving my life. With this I want to say that everything about the New Age movement is nothing but bad, and hope that this can bring the awareness of how dangerous it is. This happened a few years ago. My aunt and uncle own a restaurant and one Saturday they were moving from their old location to the new one. My aunt, uncle, future husband, boyfriend at the time, cousin, and about 10 other people, mostly employees, were helping in the move since there was a bunch of large equipment. We all were at the old restaurant packing things, tying them down when we ran out of ratchet straps. I offered to drive to my parents' house, about 30 minutes, to get more straps from my dad. Because everyone else was busy, I went alone. On the way back, I got a call from my aunt saying that they all were going to take a load to the new location and to meet them there. Since I didn't know how to get to the new place, I pulled over in a park to put in the address. From the road you aren't able to see the parking lot at all because of the trees. The only odd thing that I didn't notice at the time was on this sunny weekend day there were no other cars in the parking lot. I pulled into a parking spot and immediately grabbed my phone to put in the address. For whatever reason I didn't put it in park like I normally do, which unlocks the doors. Less than a minute after I looked down I heard and felt a huge hit to the car. I remember looking at him for so long I thought it was odd how I couldn't see the color of his eyes because of how big his pupils were. It's important to note that I was in a small SUV and he had to bend over to look in the window. A second later he was pulling the door handle so hard I thought it was going to come off. I was also confused why the door wasn't unlocked like it normally would be when I'm in a parking spot. He got visibly upset that the door wasn't opening, so he started banging the side of his fist against the window, swinging his whole arm over and over. Getting progressively more pissed, he moved to the door handle of the backseat, and at this point I was so scared of him getting in the car I grabbed and unsheathed the camping knife I had in my door. When I looked back at him, he stopped attacking the car, saw the knife and smiled. I think it was right then I realized that he didn't want money, he didn't want to rape me, he wanted to kill me. I knew that if he got in the car it was going to be over for me, even with the knife. He was way bigger than me and hitting the car so hard I was amazed that the windows held. I guess I got comfortable with him not being able to get the doors open, but after bashing the back window a few more times, the car rocking back and forth every time he moved to the trunk. The panic got worse because I knew the doors weren't opening for some reason, but maybe the trunk would. Since it was an SUV, if he got in the trunk he could just climb over the back seats and get to me. He hit against the back window with both of his balled-up fists and was yelling something I couldn't understand. Right then I realized that I could slam it in reverse. I dropped the knife in my lap, hit my gear shift into R, grabbed the wheel, and put my foot down. I still have no idea if I hit him or if he jumped out of the way. I didn't look back. I put it in drive and peeled out of the parking lot. It was my first time ever ignoring a stop sign. I still have no idea why I didn't put it in park. Many years ago I used to work night shift at a hotel in Myrtle Beach, SC. During the season it wasn't so bad, mostly families and stuff. We had on-site security then too. However, in the off-season, the winter months was different. The cheap weekly rates we'd offer attracted a lot of creepy people. The idea was supposed to be to make money in the off-season by renting to what is known as snowbirds. Older retired people who came to the beach for a month or more through the winter. It did not always work out that way though. The cheap rates made it possible for a less than desirable element to become long-term residents. I've discovered more than my fair share of meth labs, broken up physical assaults, and more during the winter months. Working third shift I would meet some interesting people. The cold weather would mean some homeless people would come in and get warm and grab a cup of free coffee. I wasn't supposed to let them, but it's not in me to be cruel. I would let them grab a coffee and get warm for a minute as long as they didn't cause trouble. As you can see, night shift in the winter made for some crazy and sometimes creepy stories. I have a lot, but this one is one that stands out, because it didn't end well for me. I had a great night up to this point. I had gone to an indie wrestling show with my best friend before work. In fact, I had agreed to come in an hour early the next night for the young lady that worked second shift in exchange for her working an hour late for me on this night, so I could enjoy the wrestling show. Ironically enough, I met Terry Funk that night, a wrestling legend known for his hardcore and bloody matches. Little did I know I was about to experience this kind of violence for real. I was supposed to be there at midnight due to her working over an hour for me. I normally came in at 11 p.m. I counted the register and she briefed me on her shift as to what had happened as per usual. As she was leaving, my friend, we will call him Andrew, pulled up. He worked second shift maintenance at this hotel and the other two hotels our company owned. He would regularly stop by after work and go grab us some food, and we would play World of Warcraft on our laptops after eating for a while since business was so slow. He was just getting my money in order for food and getting ready to leave. I was excited telling him about how much fun I had at the wrestling show and was showing him my Terry Funk t-shirt I was so proud of. I was just walking into the back office to put the shirt up, when I heard the doorbell indicating a customer had entered. It is true what they say, ask not for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. I had turned around when I heard someone say something loudly, but I still couldn't make out what they had said. I had just reached the doorway when I saw Andrew just fall down in front of me. The next thing I know, a guy walks around the corner and punches me in the head with a short steel pipe in his hand. It staggered me and I went to one knee. The next thing I know, he hits me in the head with the pipe. The next thing I know, I hear the other guy, who I hadn't noticed to this moment, say he got away and got a cop. They left out the door. I was finally able to get to my feet. I tried to call the police from the phone in the back office, but it was having issues. I slammed it in frustration. I was hurting and scared. I was really freaking out. I realized that they could come back, so I locked the door. I didn't know where Andrew had gone, and that worried me. I called 911 about this time. Blood had started pouring down my head. I told the operator I had been attacked and needed an officer and ambulance. I then called the other hotel we ran to let the night manager named Travis, who was over all 3 properties, what had happened. He thought I was messing with him at first, because when we got bored we would prank each other. I finally convinced him I was not joking. He was going to lock up and come down. The cops and ambulance pulled up and I opened the door. It was at this time I found out, after they suckered punched him and knocked him down, Andrew was able to amazingly jump over the desk and escape just as a cop was driving by, which he ran to flag down for help. I ended up in the hospital, where I had to have 10 staples in my scalp and they gave me morphine for pain. I had no way to get home after being treated, but the doctor and nurses took pity on me and paid for a cab. My plan was to go back to work, because this was December and Christmas was coming. I had 3 kids and needed all the hours could get. When I got back to the hotel, the it guy Ted was there with his wife Barbara, who also worked at the front desk. She was shocked to see me. She thought I would still be in the hospital. I thought I had only been hit in the head once after being punched. The video which Ted was pulling for the police showed a different story. After I went to one knee, the guy had hit me not just one time, but 10 total times. I kept trying to grab the pipe and get up for some reason. I do not remember that. I guess I was out on my feet. He kept punching me and hitting me with the pipe. Till his friend tells him Andrew got away and then got the cops. The 2 of them then run out. I was given a room at the other hotel we own, and Ted and Barbara gave me a lift there as I was in no condition to drive due to the morphine. They also gave me a paid week off to heal. They switched me over to the other hotel on night shift for a month just in case they were after me in particular. We never found out why they chose to attack me. The police thought it might be a failed strong-arm robbery, due to Andrew getting away and me not just going down. It shook me up though, not knowing. Even though I was at our other hotel when I came back to work night shift, I was still nervous. Every time the door chimed I tensed up. I couldn't afford to quit though, as I said I had 3 kids I was supporting. They never caught the guys as far as I know. A detective stopped by about 2 months later when I was working second. He showed me several mugshots and asked me if any of them looked familiar. I never got a great look at them as it all happened so fast. I had seen the video, which wasn't the best quality. Even so, 2 of them looked very familiar like them. I pointed them out and he asked me how sure I was. I told him honestly, like 85%. He then yelled and asked me if I wanted someone to go to jail for attempted murder on 85%. I was stunned into silence. I was the victim. I was attacked for no reason and he is yelling at me like it's my fault. I was too busy being attacked to get a good look at them. I no longer work at a hotel in night shift, and I am glad, because it is just too dangerous in this area. Thank you for the great support, I really do appreciate it. If you are enjoying what I'm doing, why not think about subscribing to my channel? It is free and would help me a great deal. A few years ago, I experienced a terrifying encounter that left an indelible mark on my memory. It was a dark and stormy night when I decided to accept my friend's dare to explore an abandoned house rumored to be haunted. We ventured through deserted streets in search of this eerie dwelling. After an extensive search, we finally discovered the house, nestled among the trees, in a state of unsettling decay. The wind howled, causing the creaking boards of the house to add an eerie soundtrack to our approach. As we entered, a palpable sense of fear enveloped us. The interior was shrouded in a chilling atmosphere and suffocating darkness. The walls were covered in mold, the furniture was decrepit and covered in dust. Broken glass littered the floor, glinting ominously in the faint moonlight that filtered through cracked windows. It felt like stepping into a nightmare. As we cautiously explored each room, strange sounds echoed through the halls, a distant whisper, a door slamming shut, and the occasional shuffling footsteps that sent shivers down our spines. It was as if the house itself was alive, breathing with an ominous presence. In one room, we discovered a flickering candle, the only source of light. Its feeble glow cast dancing shadows that seemed to take on sinister shapes. The air grew heavy with an unexplained tension, and an unidentifiable scent, like rotting wood and decay, assaulted our senses. Suddenly, a chilling gust of wind blew out the candle, plunging us into complete darkness. Panic set in as we fumbled for our flashlights, but when their beams cut through the blackness, we gasped in terror. The walls of the room were now adorned with eerie paintings that seemed to come alive before our eyes. The subjects depicted twisted figures and haunting scenes of torment. Their eyes followed our every move, and a malevolent energy filled the room. Overwhelmed by fear, we ran for the exit, desperate to escape the clutches of whatever haunted that forsaken place. The door slammed shut behind us, sealing the horrors within, but we could still hear faint whispers as we retreated. To this day, the memory of that night haunts my dreams. The abandoned house remains an unsolved mystery, leaving us wondering about the dark forces that once dwelled within its decaying walls. This spine-chilling experience taught me to heed the warnings of the supernatural and respect the unknown. Some mysteries are better left untouched, for the line between curiosity and terror can be crossed all too easily.